Good afternoon, episode 2 of the podcast. So, there's something people don't tell you about when you waste your time. It's not about the money you lose. That's always going to be something, right? Thinking back, but it's part of yourself, your momentum, your confidence, your identity. All that you lose bits and pieces when you waste your time in life. And that's something that's not taught, unless you have a mentor or someone that relays that message to you, or you read about it. But, going through life, unless someone from the very get-go had a timeline for you of how to make the right steps, have the right goals for what you want to be. But, most people, they're just following the path that most people go, And along the way, many people lose a lot of time. Months and years, even decades of very precious time, right? Especially when they're young. It's one of those things where you have the most freedom, but also the highest chance of wasting your time. And by the time you realize it, you can't get it back. You just have to keep going forward. And, for like me, looking back now where I'm at, and just, thinking about the amount of hours and days I spent playing video games. At the end of the day, it was really a waste. There were those parts of that experience I enjoyed. I attained happiness, right? Met people, talked to people, hanged out with my buddies, had a good time here and there, right? But at the end of the day, from then to now, it didn't amount to anything. Here I am, and it's like, well, that was just a waste of time. Over a decade later, and it's like, man. Because it's like, for me, I played video games when I was a kid. So, I can't really, put a fault in that. I didn't know any better or anything like that. That was my source of entertainment, right? And, my environment, that was my thing. But once, after high school, that should have been a wake-up call, right? But the thing is, I never got my wake-up call. Some people do get it early. I didn't get it till almost a decade after I graduated from high school. I didn't get my wake-up call. Like, what am I doing? This isn't benefiting me. So many people are getting ahead, learning new skills, building businesses, getting married, having kids, travel, like so many things that brings purpose to your life. And me, yeah, I play video games, and that's all I did. After high school, going to college and university, what my free time was just video games. That was literally it. It wasn't until just within the past 2 years. It wasn't until last year I started reading, and the year before that, I started going to the gym. So these are all really recent things that I have introduced in my life. And now, late last year, I got into YouTube, and now getting into content creation and learning about a little bit more social media, but also on the marketing side. But it's for me, it's one of those things that I always think like, man, what if I took action and started doing these things almost a decade ago? Like, and the same thing like with investing. It's like, I could have been so far in life than where I'm at now if I had just taken action. But no one taught me this. No one, like, I didn't read books. I mean, I read books in high school, or not even high school, in middle school, but I mean, these were like fiction books. It just was fantasy books, stuff like that, like nothing self-improvement books or business books or, anything like that. And, no one taught me this. Going through my YouTube feed, it was just gaming related videos. Like, there's no, the only piece of like media I was consuming that helped me out, and well, this was like after high school, was watching Tai Lopez, following on YouTube. But I wasn't like very into it. It was just like, oh, I like some of the stuff he's saying, and especially like from the meme, knowledge, and stuff like that. And that's what introduced me to him. But it wasn't someone guiding me, showing me the right path to take. I was just like, well, after high school, I guess go to college, and after college, go to university. And, it's looking back, did I really need to do all that? Was it, some of it, sure, it was worth my time. But honestly, most of it was honestly not worth my time. Because the money I had used to go to school, I could just invest in that. And then my education would have been just YouTube or other platforms to study and learn. And it's like, man, if I were to go back and start over, I would have, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not making $1 million, so I don't have the $1 million mindset or anything like that, but I would have like a big kickstart, like, hey, do this and this and this to my past self, so my future self 10 years later will be in a lot better spot. But alas, it is what it is, right? The thing you do now is make the correct choices, make the right path, have the correct goals that will push you in a way, make an impossible goal, a goal that, hey, I want to make $1 million or 100,000 or do this and this and this and that. Instead of scaling it from 10 years, scale it shorter. Because from now to 10 years, if I wanted to regain the time I wasted, like, man, I could have been making this much money or this and this and that. Okay, how much money, I thought I lost $1 million. Okay. So instead of like, let me try to get $1 million in next 10 years, let me say 3 years, let me make $1 million. At that point, you have to make different choices, whole different set of steps to get to that point. Because now, 10 years to make $1 million, you're doing a lot of different steps and choices, hiring, whatever many ways or partnerships you're going to be using to get to that point. You're going to have to change all of that if you're going to try to do it in a shorter period of time. Your mindset has to change. You can't be using the same tools you would be using for the 10 years versus 3 years. And that's the thing, like, for me, I can't get my time back. That's gone. None of us can get our time back. But what we can do is we can get our focus back on track, and not, you can complain all you want about the past, but that's not going to help you. You look at the lessons you learned in the past, and you use that to help guide you, not determine it, but help guide you to the future, because that is where you can finally make your time back. So that'll be for episode 2. Take care.